Welcome back and thanks for joining me on this live. As you know, we're going to be talking about hay fever and the types of things that have helped me since having improved my hay fever symptoms and the severity of it. And my puppy is joining me today for the Q&A. So you can ask either one of us a question related to hay fever. Although puppy doesn't have allergies, which is probably another topic for another day, why dogs don't get hay fever. But Avinash, thanks for joining. Sugar Rush Khan, thanks for joining. Thanks to everyone who's joining the live Q&A today. And if you do have any questions and you don't want to put it in the comments, just send me a DM and I'll answer it in the DMs privately if you want to do that. Otherwise, you can send it in the comments and I'll answer it as we go along. And to give you a bit of backstory, although I'm a healthcare professional, I deal with musculoskeletal disorders, not things like allergies. So it's important, if you have severe hay fever or allergic rhinitis as it's medically known, then you should consult your doctor, and you may need hospitalization, you may need more stronger medications like steroid based medications. There's a lot of things. My cousin sister, who's actually in the Met Police, has very severe hay fever and she has been hospitalized in the past with it. So although this advice will help the majority of people, it's going to have limited impact on those who have that kind of severity of symptoms. Okay, so that's a kind of a precursor to the discussion today, and then we'll get into tips. A couple of questions came in through the Q&A on what types of things people wanted to cover, and the first question was around how to prepare for hay fever, and I think that's a really important thing to do. So if you've got hay fever and you wait till your symptoms are pretty bad, then it's kind of too late. So one example of that with me is that if I haven't drunk enough water the day before, I've noticed that I'll wake up really early in the morning, 2-3 o'clock, sneezing. And ironically, the sneezing isn't because of the hay fever, it's because of dehydration at that point. So I know if I drink 2 pints of water, the sneezing stops and I can get to sleep again. So that's an example of kind of preparation. The other thing is windows being open. If you've got windows open in the house, then you're going to have pollen coming in through the night. It's going to make it a bit more difficult for you to sleep. So I would advise, at least in the room that you're sleeping, you want to have a kind of clear environment where the windows are closed and you're changing the bed sheets and pillowcase every week at the least, so that you're not really getting pollen time to set, and then obviously changing your clothes from, which most people do anyway, from the clothes that you've been outside with to the clothes inside. So that's environment in terms of what you can control there. You can have a hot shower before bed, which will help to get off any pollen that you've got on your face and on your body and on your clothes. And also you can do that first thing in the morning to help open up sinuses, and we'll get into that when we talk about the benefits of different types of treatments natural treatments that you can use for hay fever. So hopefully that answers the question, which was how to prepare for hay fever. I'm a family man, so it's hard to be professional sometimes when you've got kids. So please ignore that in the background. Okay, so hopefully that answers the question. I've tried things like pollen filters, and although they're very expensive and they're highly reviewed, personally, the pollen... Guys. Okay, I need you guys to take the dog. Guys, I need to take the dog inside. Bugger saying this is my work. This is my patient. Bugger saying I need you to take the dog inside for me. Yeah? Bugger saying I'm going to count to 3. I need you inside with the dog. 1. Anja. 2. 3. Door closed, please. They'll probably come back in a few minutes. Yeah, they are taking over. This is completely, they've gate crashed the whole Q&A. I've been out by your kids are so well behaved compared to mine. So I think they've come back in. This is going to be a difficult Q&A. Alright, so preparation is really important. Rather than trying to buy expensive stuff, the best thing you can do is just try and keep the environment clean and clear. and try and take reasonable, adequate precautions in terms of changing clothes, changing bed sheets regularly, keeping windows closed. Hopefully that helps answer the question. The other thing is, what other natural types of treatment you can do. So, jump inside the house. Look, I'm going to work. Buggers, I'm going to count to 3, and then you're going to have to sit with mom. 1, 2, door closed. Okay, so what kind of things have helped? I used to have really bad hay fever to the point where I used to struggle during exams. I used to be sneezing all over exam papers. During revision time, I'd struggle to... This is my work. I need you to go inside, okay? Okay, I need you to go inside, Bucket. Okay, up. Maybe call mom. Tell her that I need you guys inside. Okay, I'm doing some work. Okay, thank you. Yeah, they are really entertaining unless you're trying to have a meeting or do some work. Then it's just inappropriate. So the things that have helped me, I really struggled. It affected my my academic life. It affected my quality of life, because there's times where I'd just have to go sleep in the day because my eyes would be so itchy and swollen. I'd be sneezing, and it wasn't very attractive, sneezing and just continuously and being all bunged up. And I tried lots of things. I tried the infrared nasal kind of plugs. I tried local pollen. I tried different types of medication, including homeopathic medication, the pharmaceutical type stuff, which I found even the non-drowsy stuff made me drowsy. Yeah, let me just get rid of it. I'm doing stuff here. I need you to stay outside. I need you to stay outside. Look at me. Stay outside. Okay. Sorry about that. And then the things that I've read this book called The Water Cure by Dr. Batman G. He's an Iranian prisoner of war. He found that he struggled to treat prisoners, and then what really helped him was water. So he had different protocols of water intake for different conditions, and he found that really helped the patients that he was treating. And in his book, there's a chapter on allergic rhinitis, which is also known as hay fever. So I read that book, and then there's different interviews which you can look on YouTube, which are out there. So at that time, when he was really making some headway in research on hydration, people are saying that things like caffeine and Coke don't have an impact on your hydration levels in your body, and he was refuting all of these things. And now we know that to be true. So he was kind of very ahead of his time. And although it sounds very basic, just drinking more water to help with allergies, the mechanism that he describes in his book is to do with histamine. So when you have something like Piriton, which is antihistamine, it blocks histamine release, and histamine release is what causes a lot of the nasal symptoms and also a lot of the sneezing and irritation around the eyes. Hopefully he's gone now. And so that is kind of the mechanism behind antihistamines. And when you're drinking enough water, you also inhibit the release of histamine, but you're doing it in a natural way. So whereas with medication, you will become potentially accustomed, your body will adapt to the medication, and it won't be as effective, and you have to change and try different medications, and each medication has side effects and potential risks, whereas drinking an adequate amount of water poses very little side effects and risks. Other questions on water is, do I need to drink mineral water or tap water? And he used to say, whatever you can get access to is fine, just make sure you're drinking enough. So if you can get tap water and that's what you can afford, then that's perfect. That's brilliant. That's what I did when I had all of the benefits. But if you can also get a filter on water, then even better. Or if you can get bottled water, then that's an alternative as well. So that's one thing. The other thing he mentioned was to do with rock salt and mineral levels. and getting enough minerals in order to make sure that your body is adequately, in terms of the electrolytes, you're getting enough, so you're not flushing away too many electrolytes. So that's another thing that he mentions in his book. And if you YouTube The Water Cure, you'll see some of the interviews where he'll go through the protocols. But essentially, what you're doing is hydrating your body enough in order for you to inhibit the release of histamine and prevent the symptoms that you would otherwise get. So for me, this was a game changer. When I started doing this, I started to be able to enjoy summers a bit more, started to be able to go out in the summer and not have severe symptoms. If I'd have a sneezing fit, I'd have 2 pints of water and it would stop the sneezing fit. And then I'd have a couple more pints kind of every hour, or I'd have a pint every hour or every 2 hours, and that's a pint of water. And I found that that combination of things really kept the symptoms at bay. I was able to continue life as normal and kind of enjoy life and be able to do things that I wouldn't otherwise be able to do. Is it a cure? Does it cure hay fever so that you don't get it? As I said at the start of this video, it depends on the severity of your symptoms. So if you have very severe hay fever, then it's going to impact it, but it won't do it to the level where you don't need any other types of medication or intervention. But I do believe with all types of hay fever, this will benefit you if you do it. Sometimes you think, oh, am I drinking too much water, or do I really need this much water? And the way I kind of go by that is, one is when I'm sneezing a lot, I kind of feel like, okay, I haven't got enough today, even though I may think I have. And the other thing is when I go to the loo, if it's yellow or discolored, if it's not clear, then I think, well, actually I'm dehydrated. It could be because I went for a run, or because I've been sneezing a lot, or any of the types of symptoms. So we're not always aware of what's happening in the body. And so relatively objective things like the color of your urine can be a good indication of whether you need to top up. And for something that takes a couple of seconds to drink a pint of water, it can have profound impacts in terms of giving you relief from the symptoms of hay fever without all the disadvantages like sleepiness. So that's the question of hydration. The other thing was the physical impact of blocking. So you can get wax. You can also get Vaseline, which you apply around the nostrils and around the eyes. I found that to be really beneficial as well. So I'll do that on a day when I know that the pollen is very high. I will do that in the mornings, and I find if I accidentally rub my eyes through the day, it will aggravate my symptoms. So I know that physical block, that physical barrier is catching a lot of the pollen. So that's one thing that I'd recommend doing as well, the Vaseline. The third thing is the steam. So ideally everyone would have a sauna at home, but that's not practical for most people, and I don't have one either. So what I found to be a good hack, and I use this a lot with the kids as well when they were young and they would get ill with a cough or any respiratory type of infection, is that I would turn the vent off in the bathroom, and then I would get the kids, put the shower on, and I would sit on the toilet with the toilet seat down, and I would have the kids in my lap, and then I would allow the steam to clear their sinuses. And with me, I can just simply have a shower, so I don't need to do that. I can just get in the shower, and I find that 10-15 minutes in the shower will clear my sinuses, clear my nose, clear my eyes, stop the itchiness, and so that's been really beneficial as well. So those are 3 things that I've found have really helped me personally with my hay fever, and there may be others that have helped others. Jab, you need to speak to Mama. Yeah, you have to tell Mama I'm working. Okay, sorry. I think that craziness is finished. But if you don't have kids now, you know what it's like. Someone told me that having 1 kid is like having a dog, and having 2 kids is like living in a zoo. And it is definitely like that for me. And now I have an actual dog. So it's definitely, the dog is probably the most calm of the 3 of the children, between the children and the dog. So that's really helped in terms of my allergies. Any questions? Let me go through, see if anyone's sent any questions. Really appreciate everyone joining in on this live. I will upload it onto IGTV so you can watch it back, and hopefully it will help. Someone said something about talking in Punjabi. I don't personally. Hay fever has never affected me in Punjab or Canada or America. It seems to be quite focal in London and in particular, but also just generally in the UK. So I think it's to do with some type of pollen that is present in the UK alone, which isn't present in other areas of the world. So hopefully for the people in the UK, this will benefit the most. I actually met somebody on the tube once. I was at a tube station waiting for a train, and someone came up to me and said they had watched a video that I had made with my sister-in-law, who also suffers from hay fever. She kept sneezing, and I was with her that day at my mom's house, and I poured 2 pints of water and I said, drink this, and she drank it, and I recorded her do this, and her symptoms went away. She stopped sneezing and she said, I feel a lot better. And that was quite remarkable, and capturing that moment was even more remarkable, because when people watch the video back, it inspired them to try it. And there's a number of my friends who've done it, as well as my sister-in-law, as well as other people like the gentleman I met on the train, who it's really helped. So if you know someone who really suffers from hay fever, then do tag them or do share this video with them so that they can benefit from this really basic, simple advice as well. Lastly, just to reiterate, this doesn't mean that there's no place for pharmaceutical treatment or homeopathic or any other type of treatment. This is just what's worked for me in my personal circumstances, and this is what I would recommend as a first line measure. So I would recommend doing this first, and then if you still have symptoms, or if your symptoms are very severe, then I would recommend doing the other things such as antihistamines, steroid nasal sprays. Homeopathic medicine would be probably lower than those two. So then you can go up the kind of tier of the more severe types or stronger types of medications depending on your need. But you should do the basic stuff first. So the general hygiene stuff, and the water hydration, the physical barriers, all of those things first. So hopefully that helps answer some questions. Affects your eyes. So one thing that one thing that helps me with the eyes is cold compress. So you can get one of these. You can get cucumber really from the fridge, put it on the eyes. Cold tends to reduce inflammation. So although the steam helps with clearing up the sinuses, cold seems to be really beneficial for preventing inflammation of particular areas. So a cold shower, or having a shower and then just turning it cold for the last 10 seconds, particularly over the eyes and face, that will really help to flush out the inflammation, because wherever you have itchiness, you have inflammation. So if you can impact the inflammation, you will impact on the itchiness. The other thing is, don't itch your eyes. I used to do that and it would just get worse and worse and worse. So I saw an interview once, and the person was saying that when you rub your eyes, you actually damage the eyes. So vision is really important to me, so I try not to rub the eyes as much as possible. So keep that in mind as well. The more you rub something, it's a bit like an itch. The more you scratch something, the more you will get an itch. So the more you rub something, the more inflammation you get in the area, and the itchier they will get. So hopefully that helps. If you got any more questions, then do send me a DM. I'm going to get back to my crazy family now, but hope you guys do well on your hay fever journeys. Do drop me a comment. I'd appreciate to hear all your stories and on how people's symptoms improve. Thank you.